Hey guys, TommyBryson here, and today I'm going to tell you exactly how much money is this channel going to pay for the year 2020 when it comes to taxes. And by the way, yesterday I made a video on exactly how much money this channel actually made total in 2020 just off of YouTube, okay? Now, if you haven't seen that video, I'll actually link it down below. First link and also in the comments, that way you know exactly where all this money came from and how everything got started. And by the way, in this video, I'll tell you exactly A, how much money I pay in taxes, B, exactly how I save money on taxes, and C, how do you save money to pay those taxes in the first place, okay? Because again, taxes are a lot. The more money you make, the more taxes you usually pay, depending on how you actually get that income. But in this case, it's earned income, and that's why you pay a lot of taxes, okay? That's a whole different topic for another video. Now, if you guys are new here, I post videos literally every single day. So make sure to also subscribe and hit the bell to stay notified. On top of that, also destroying the like button. Now, disclaimer here. Everyone seems to have this negative effect towards taxes. In reality, I don't mind them. I understand taxes are important and we should pay them because basically everyone has to pay their share. And on top of that, all of my heroes, for example, Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, they agree, hey, taxes are important. We pay our taxes. Yes, you save money on taxes the legal way, but you know, taxes are still important. I know firsthand what it is to come from a country where there are not a lot of taxes. For example, Dominican Republic. Although here we have potholes, over there we might not even have any roads. Although here we might not have the best education, over there we don't really have that much public education. And in reality, schools are split up between morning and afternoons because there's basically so many students. So I know the benefits and disadvantages of taxes. And by the way, usually the benefits outweigh all the disadvantages. So in reality, I have no problem whatsoever with paying taxes because basically it's just a part of the game and what we have to do. If you can avoid them legally, great. If you can't, pay your fair share of taxes. That's the whole goal here. Now, let's dive into the taxes on YouTube and exactly how they actually work. And by the way, this can get very complex very quickly, but in reality, I'm going to make it very simple. That way, every single person can understand them if you ever got a paycheck in your entire life, okay? You'll understand exactly how all this stuff actually works. Now, the first thing is this, guys, okay? When I first created my channel, I had an LLC. An LLC is basically a limited liability company. And it's great because basically there are not that many filings and all this fancy stuff. So it saves you a ton of money in the beginning where you're not actually making a lot of money from that business you actually started. And by the way, an LLC is just a limited liability company. And today what I have is basically an S Corp. And I actually did an S election. So I graduated from a limited liability company over to an S Corp. And I'll tell you why later in the video. But let's say, for example, I kept that LLC. Tell me, how much taxes would you actually pay? Well, here is the core idea, guys, okay? There are three main taxes, or four actually, that almost every single one of you actually know about. The first one is federal taxes. And then you have state taxes, and also, in my case, city taxes, because basically, I live in New York. And on top of that, you also have Social Security and Medicare. All those taxes right there are the main core of the American foundation. That's how our government makes a lot of money, aside from payroll and all this other stuff. But this is just the concrete stuff right here. Tell me, how much do you pay for all this stuff? Well, in reality, when you have an LLC, you are your own employee, your own entity. So all the income that comes in gets taxed as such. So in reality, you know how you pay, for example, Medicare and also Social Security? Guess what? You pay half of it and your employer pays half of it. But when you have an LLC, you pay the full thing. So in this case, it'll be somewhere around 15.3% of your money going towards Social Security and Medicare. On top of that, my current tax rate is around 35% federally. And by the way, this right here is the whole tax brackets on NerdWallet for 2020, okay? And the idea is that if you make between 207 to 500K, you get taxed at 35%. But in reality, it's not that simple because you don't get taxed on 35% fully. It's more like the amount that goes over gets taxed more and more and more and more. So my effective tax rate is only 23%, 0.18, okay, or 0.18 for everyone out there that likes to lose their mind about me not using the 0.18 thing, okay? But yeah, that's the answer right there. So my effective tax rate is only 23.18%. And by the way, tell me how, because basically when you are here, right, you make $9,875. When you go to 12%, well, you don't get taxed on this at 12%. It's only the amount that actually goes over and so on and so on. So it averages out to a very low tax rate. In this case, for me, is only 23.18%. And on top of that, my whole city taxes in New York, well, my state income taxes are around 6.85%. And also, my city taxes are around the highest 3.876%. Tommy, why use the decimals, not that important in reality? Because basically the government, the state, will take every single decimal you owe them. So you have to calculate things correctly. So overall, basically, you're paying a ton of money in taxes. And on top of that, basically Fed, 23%, Social Security and Medicare around 15%. And on top of that, states and also city taxes around 10% or so on. So when you do the math of how much money goes to taxes, you will be immensely surprised, okay? So for example, if I had an LLC, here are the real numbers right here, okay? In 2020, I had net income of around $286,000. That is my net income. And by the way, that's not like the real number because basically we're still working on reconciling our bank accounts and all that stuff. So we still don't know fully, but that's the estimate we actually have right now. $286,000 in net income, which means the Fed would take around 23.18% of that, which is basically $66,294.80 going straight to the Fed. On top of that, the state would take around 10.726%, which in reality equals around $30,676.36, okay? Wow, this is getting insane so far, okay? But that's how much it would take. And on top of that, Social Security and Medicare would be around 15.3%. And again, because I have an LLC, the whole amount I made gets taxed. So in this case, $286K gets taxed, and that means I pay them around $43,758. Now, if you guys add up all of this, it means that I would pay somewhere around $140,729.18 towards taxes, which equal a whopping 49.20% tax rate. Basically, me and the government and the state are basically 50-50 partners, okay? That's what would happen if I basically had an LLC. But again, I told you guys, I actually have an S Corp. So that's how I got away with only paying $85,000 in taxes overall, including Social Security, including Medicare, including state taxes, and also including federal taxes. Tommy, is that legal? The answer is yes. It is 100% legal. It is not worth trying to play the IRS because they will always get you. Those people over there, they work very hard to make sure they do their jobs right, and that's why it's not worth trying to play the IRS. Now, the big difference is this, guys, okay? When you have an S Corp, the big benefit is basically you get to hire yourself as an employee, which means you only get taxed on Social Security and Medicare on the wage you actually pay yourself. So whatever salary you pay yourself, that's where you pay basically Social Security and the whole Medicare tax. So instead of paying on the whole 286 amount, I only pay on the salary I pay myself. Now, as a fellow person just like you might be thinking, Tommy, well, why not pay yourself $100 a year and only pay around $15.03, right? Why not do that? Well, the answer is because basically the IRS, again, is not stupid. And they require you to pay yourself a reasonable wage. So in 2020, based on my 2019 return, I actually paid myself around $48,000 as a salary. That's the core idea there. So basically, I pay half the Social Security and Medicare tax as an employee, and then my business pays the other half. That way, it's split up, but that way, overall, we pay a lot less money on that right there. So that's how I got to save a ton of money on taxes by basically getting an S Corp, okay? That's what I did. But by the way, an S Corp can only have really one employee, and that's basically me, and that's to be the owner and so on. So make sure before you try doing this, you talk to your CPA and go over all the rules and regulations. But that's the big way I got to save a ton of money. And on top of that, I deducted appropriately all of my business expenses. So basically, if I bought a camera or a computer, that was all deductible. If I went on a trip to talk about business, that was all deductible. If I went out for dinner to talk about business, that was also deductible, and so on and so on. And also, I went ahead and did an employee match program with my company, meaning when I invest money, my business invests money. Thus, that also saves me a ton of money on taxes on top of it. But that's basically all I did. I switched to an S Corp, I deducted things appropriately, and I followed the rules, and I took basically savings where I could legally. That's the whole idea. That's how I went from paying, for example, 140K to only paying 85K by switching to an S Corp and taking advantage of all of the deductions and so on. By the way, yes, I have an accountant, although I do have a degree in accounting, okay? It's very important you understand. Basically, my experience as an accountant is nowhere near an accountant that has 15 or 20 years of experience, and that's why I keep learning every single day from people that know a lot more than I do. That's my goal. Learn from people that are better than you. So get a CPA and learn from them too. Now, the last thing I do want to mention is this, guys. Tell me, how do you save money to pay your taxes at the end of the year? And on top of that, how are you going to save more money on taxes for 2021? The answer is, the first thing is, the way I save money for taxes, basically, I always have a lot of money in hand because basically, I'm always investing and waiting. So basically, I always have cash there. I don't spend my money on anything, honestly, just investing. So I always have money there to go ahead and basically pay taxes off, okay? That's the whole idea. But if I were like, if I weren't investing, I would always say, for example, hey, every time I get paid $1, I'll save 30 cents of that or 40 cents of that and basically put it aside for taxes. So if I get paid 10,000, 4K I put aside, and that's for taxes and so on and so on. That way, by the end of the year, you're not stuck with a massive tax bill and you can't pay. That is not what you want. Now, also, tell me, how are you going to save money for 2021? The answer is, well, first of all, I'm moving to Florida, meaning no more state taxes, meaning no more paying New York between 24 to 25K on taxes just for living in New York. Now, New York is great, but it's just not for me. In reality, what I do in New York, I can do in any state. I'm not out here in Times Square, in the restaurants, in Manhattan, all this stuff. To me, it sounds insane and it's very expensive. And on top of that, I want to invest in real estate, and New York is very expensive. So that's not something I want to do. So this year, 2021, I'm moving to Fort Myers, Florida. And on top of that, I'm also going to go ahead and buy a company car, which is also going to save me money on taxes. Now, I do want to give you guys one tip here. You hear this all the time. Amazon pays $0 in taxes. How do I do that? The answer is, if you want to spend all your money on trash, okay, as an individual, to buy things, for example, I want to buy this expensive car to save money in taxes. In reality, it's not that simple. Every dollar you spend usually saves you around 30 cents in taxes. So the math just does not make sense. So usually I save money in taxes towards things that actually apply towards my business, but I'm not going to go out there and buy a Ferrari or a Tesla Model S to basically say, hey, I'm going to save all this money in taxes. No, that's not what I do. I buy what I need, I deduct it, and I pay taxes on my fair share. That's the core idea. Don't become a spender and justify it by saying, hey, I'm going to save money on taxes this way. It's not going to be an equal fit, okay? It's not like I spend $1, I save $1. It's not that simple at all. Now, guys, that is about it for this video. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. And by the way, let me know if you want to see a video on how to save money on taxes as an individual. Comment down below. Let me know. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. As always, like if you liked it. On top of that, also, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you're notified. Now, if you guys want to text me or talk to me one-on-one, join my Patreon, link down below, or send me a DM on Instagram at TommyBryson. And on top of that, if you want to see a full video on basically how to save money on taxes legally, well, here's that video right here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.